Federal Courthouse, Las Vegas, March 3rd, 1979. Dean Martin walks through the metal detector. Security guard recognizes him immediately. "Mr. Martin, good to see you, though not in the best circumstances." Dean nods, tired. He's 61 years old. Didn't want to be here, didn't ask to be here, but here he is. Subpoena. Court order. He has to testify. The case: United States v. Joseph Colucci. Federal racketeering charges, union corruption, extortion, fraud. The prosecution is seeking 30 years. Dean doesn't know Joseph Colucci, has never met him, doesn't understand why he's been called as a witness. His lawyer explained it yesterday. They have a photograph. You and Colucci, backstage at the Sands, 1973. You're shaking hands, smiling. His defense attorney is using it as evidence that you're friends, character witness. If Dean Martin is friends with him, he can't be all bad. Dean had stared at his lawyer. "I shake hands with hundreds of people backstage. That doesn't make them friends." "I know, but the photo exists, and now you're subpoenaed. You have to testify." So here Dean is, walking through the courthouse, heading to a courtroom to testify about a man he doesn't know. Inside, the courtroom is packed, press in the back, sketch artists. This is a big trial, mob connections, union corruption, the kind of case that makes headlines. Joseph "Joe Dogs" Colucci sits at the defense table, mid-50s, thick build, expensive suit that can't hide the roughness underneath. He looks at Dean, hopeful, desperate, like Dean is going to save him. But Dean doesn't look back, just walks to the witness stand. The bailiff swears him in. "Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?" "I do." The prosecutor goes first. Young, ambitious, wants to establish that Dean isn't actually friends with Colucci. "Mr. Martin, do you know Joseph Colucci?" Dean looks at the prosecutor, then at Colucci, then back. "No. You've never met him?" "I don't recall meeting him." The defense attorney stands, objects. "Your Honor, we have photographic evidence that Mr. Martin and my client have met." The judge nods. "Overruled." "Continue." The prosecutor walks to the evidence table, picks up a photograph, 8 by 10, black and white, shows it to Dean. "Mr. Martin, is this you?" Donnie's looks. It's him. Backstage, 1973, the Sands Hotel. He's wearing a tuxedo, still has stage makeup on, standing next to a man, Colucci. Presumably, they're shaking hands, both smiling. Dean's other hand is on Colucci's shoulder, friendly, warm. Dean stares at the photo, tries to remember. 1973, 6 years ago. How many people did he meet backstage in 1973? Hundreds, thousands. He has no memory of this moment. None. The photo exists. He's in it, but the moment is gone. "That's me," Dean says. "And is that Joseph Colucci?" "I assume so. I don't remember this photo being taken." "But you're shaking his hand." "Yes." "And you have your hand on his shoulder." "Yes." That suggests familiarity. Friendship. Dean sets the photo down, looks at the prosecutor. "It suggests I was being polite." The courtroom stirs, murmurs. The prosecutor presses. "You're saying this photo doesn't prove you know Mr. Colucci?" "I'm saying this photo proves I shook hands with someone backstage. That's all it proves." "But you look friendly in this photo." "I look friendly in every photo. That's my job." The prosecutor pauses, regroups. "Mr. Martin, how many people would you say come backstage after your shows?" Pinnacle. Dean thinks. "Depends on the venue. The Sands, maybe 50 to 100 people per night." "And you meet all of them?" "Most of them. If they come backstage, I try to say hello, shake hands, take a photo if they want. It's courtesy." "So you meet hundreds of people backstage every year?" "At least." "And you remember all of them?" "No, I don't." The prosecutor walks closer. "So it's possible you met Mr. Colucci multiple times and simply don't remember?" A Dean considers this. Honest answer. "It's possible, but if I did, I don't remember. And if I don't remember, then I don't know him." The defense attorney stands. Objection, speculation. Judge, overruled. The witness is answering honestly. The prosecutor continues. "Mr. Martin, in this photo, you have your hand on Mr. Colucci's shoulder. That's a gesture of warmth, affection. You don't do that with strangers. Dean looks at the photo again, his hand on Colucci's shoulder. The prosecutor is right. That is a warm gesture. Why did he do that? Then Dean remembers, not the specific moment, not Colucci, but the habit, the routine. When someone comes backstage, nervous, excited, honored to meet Dean Martin, Dean tries to make them comfortable. Hand on the shoulder, eye contact, make them feel like they matter, like this moment matters. It's kindness, not friendship. Dean explains this. When people come backstage, they're often nervous. Meeting someone famous, they don't know what to say, so I try to put them at ease. I shake hands, I put my hand on their shoulder, I smile, I make them feel comfortable. That's what you're seeing in this photo. Me being kind to someone who came backstage, not me being friends with them. The prosecutor isn't satisfied. But Mr. Martin, kindness and friendship can look very similar. They can, but they're not the same thing. How would someone looking at this photo know the difference? They wouldn't. That's the problem with photos. They capture a moment, but they don't capture context. They don't capture what happened before or after. They just show two people standing together, and people assume that means something, but it might not. The prosecutor walks back to his table, picks up another document. Mr. Martin, Mr. Colucci's defense team has submitted a list of character witnesses, people willing to testify that he's a good man. Your name is on that list. Dean's jaw tightens. I didn't agree to that. But your name is on the list. Then they put it there without my permission. The defense attorney stands. Your Honor, Mr. Martin was subpoenaed as a potential character witness based on the photographic evidence of their relationship. Dean looks at the judge. Your Honor, I can't be a character witness for someone I don't know. That doesn't make sense. The judge nods. Noted. Mr. Martin, let me ask you directly. Do you know Joseph Colucci well enough to testify about his character? Dean looks at Colucci, really looks at him, tries to find anything familiar, any memory, any recognition, nothing. No, Your Honor, I don't. The defense attorney isn't giving up. He approaches the witness stand. Friendly, sympathetic. Mr. Martin, I understand you meet a lot of people, but surely some of them make an impression. Surely you remember some of the people you meet backstage. Some, yes. What makes someone memorable to you? Dean thinks, usually a story, something unique about them, a conversation we have, something that makes them stand out. And Mr. Colucci didn't stand out. If he did, I don't remember it. The defense attorney holds up the photo again. But you're smiling in this photo. Genuine smile. You look happy to see him. I smile at everyone. Even people you don't like. Especially people I don't like. That's called professionalism. Laughter in the courtroom. Even the judge smirks. The defense attorney tries a different angle. Mr. Martin, let me ask you this. If someone came backstage and told you they were in trouble, legal trouble, personal trouble, would you help them? Dean hesitates. Where is this going? Depends on the situation. But you're a generous man. You've helped people before. I've tried. So if Mr. Colucci had come to you and asked for help, would you have helped him? Diane sees the trap. If he says yes, it implies he knows Colucci well enough to help. If he says no, he looks cold. Dean chooses truth. I don't know, because he never asked, or if he did, I don't remember. But hypothetically, I'd need to know the situation. What kind of help he needed, why he needed it. I don't help people blindly, but you do help people. When I can, when it's appropriate. And what determines if it's appropriate? Dean looks at the defense attorney, looks at Colucci, looks at the jury. He understands now, this whole line of questioning is trying to paint Dean as someone who would help Colucci, someone who believes Colucci is a good man. But Dean doesn't know if Colucci is a good man. Doesn't know him at all. Dean speaks clearly, firmly. What determines if it's appropriate is whether I actually know the person, whether I understand their situation, whether I believe helping them is the right thing to do. And in this case, I don't know Mr. Colucci. I don't understand his situation beyond what I've read in the newspaper. And I don't know if helping him is the right thing to do. So I can't testify to his character, because I don't know his character. The defense attorney looks at the judge. Your Honor, Mr. Martin is being deliberately unhelpful. The judge raises an eyebrow. Mr. Martin is being honest. That's what we ask of witnesses. Continue your questioning or sit down. The defense attorney sits, frustrated. The prosecutor stands again. Redirect. Mr. Martin, let me be very clear. Are you here today because you want to help Mr. Colucci? No. Are you here because you believe Mr. Colucci is a good man? I don't know if he's a good man or not. Then why are you here? Because I was subpoenaed. I'm here because a court ordered me to be here, not because I chose to be here. And if you hadn't been subpoenaed, would you be here? No. Would you have come to support Mr. Colucci voluntarily? No. No. Why not? Because I don't know him, and I don't testify for people I don't know. The prosecutor nods, satisfied, no further questions. The judge looks at Dean. Mr. Martin, you're excused. Thank you for your time. Dean stands, walks out of the courtroom. Doesn't look at Colucci, doesn't look at anyone, just leaves. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarm. Mr. Martin, why didn't you help Joe Colucci? Dean keeps walking. His lawyer runs interference. No comment. Mr. Martin has no comment. But one reporter shouts louder than the others. Dean, Joe Colucci says you were friends. He says you betrayed him. Dean stops, turns, looks at the reporter. I didn't betray anyone. You can't betray someone you don't know. He gets in his car, drives away. That night, Dean sits in his home office, thinking about the trial, about Colucci, about the photo. He pulls out an old box, photos from backstage over the years, hundreds of them, maybe thousands, people he's met, faces he doesn't remember, smiles frozen in time. How many of these people think they're friends with Dean Martin? How many of them tell stories about meeting him, about shaking his hand, about that time Dean put his hand on their shoulder and made them feel special? And how many of them actually know him, really know him? None of them. The photos are moments, not relationship. Dean understands something in that moment, something important, something he'll carry for the rest of his life. Kindness can look like friendship, but it's not, and people confuse the two. They meet someone famous, shake their hand, get a photo, and they think they have a relationship. They think they matter to that person, but they don't. Not really. It was just a moment, a transaction, a bit of kindness given freely, but not deeply. And when that famous person doesn't remember them, doesn't come to their aid, doesn't testify for them, doesn't save them, they feel betrayed. But you can't betray someone you don't know. 3 days later, a letter arrives from the jail, from Joseph Colucci. Dean almost throws it away, but curiosity wins. He opens it. The letter is handwritten, angry, hurt. Dean, I can't believe you did this to me. I thought we were friends. I came to your show in 1973. You were so nice to me. You shook my hand. You smiled at me. You made me feel like I mattered. And now you stand up in court and say you don't know me. You made me look like a liar. You made me look like nothing. I'm going to prison for 30 years. 30 years, and you couldn't even say one nice thing about me. I thought you were a good man, but you're just like everyone else. You use people. You smile at them and make them feel special, and then you forget them. I'll never forget you, Dean, but you already forgot me. I hope you can live with that. Night Yogo 3, Joe I. Dean reads the letter, twice, then sets it down. He understands Joe's anger, understands the hurt. Joe thought they had a connection, thought that moment backstage in 1973 meant something. And it did mean something. For Joe, it was probably one of the highlights of his life, meeting Dean Martin, shaking his hand, getting that photo. But for Dean, it was Tuesday, another show, another 100 people backstage, another 100 hands shaken. The asymmetry is brutal. What meant everything to Joe meant nothing to Dean, not because Dean is cruel, but because Dean lives in a different reality, a reality where meeting people is routine, where kindness is professionalism, where a smile and a handshake are just part of the job. Joe doesn't understand that, can't understand that, because he's never been famous, never had hundreds of people want a piece of him every night, never had to smile at strangers and make them feel special even when he's exhausted. Dean picks up a pen, starts to write a response, then stops. What would he say? Sorry you're going to prison, But I really don't know you. That's true but cruel. I'm sure you're a good man. I just don't remember you. That's a lie. Dean doesn't know if Joe is a good man. The court certainly doesn't think so. I hope you understand. I was just doing my job backstage. That sounds defensive, callous. There's nothing to say, nothing that would help, nothing that would make Joe feel better. So Dean folds the letter, puts it in his desk drawer, doesn't respond. Sometimes silence is the only honest answer. The trial continues without Dean. Other witnesses testify. The prosecution presents evidence, wiretaps, financial records, testimony from associates who flipped. The defense tries to paint Joe as a family man, a good guy caught up in circumstances. They show photos of Joe with his kids, Joe at church, Joe volunteering. But the evidence is overwhelming. Joe ran a loan sharking operation, extorted union members, took bribes, threatened people. The jury deliberates for 6 hours, returns with a verdict. Guilty, all counts. Sentencing 25 years, federal prison. Joe's wife sobs, his kids cry. Joe just sits there, numb. As they take him away, Joe looks toward the gallery, looking for Dean. But Dean isn't there, didn't come back, didn't watch the verdict. Joe feels the betrayal all over again. 18 months later, Dean is performing at Caesar's Palace. Different venue, same routine, 2-hour show, jokes, songs, charm. Afterward, backstage, the usual crowd. Fans, industry people, friends of friends. A young woman approaches, maybe 25, nervous, excited. "Mr. Martin? I'm so sorry to bother you. I just wanted to say I'm a huge fan. Your music got me through some really tough times. Could I get a photo with you?" Dean smiles, tired but genuine. "Of course." Shake hands her camera to a stagehand, stands next to Dean. He puts his hand on her shoulder. She's beaming. This is the best moment of her life. Flash. Photo taken. "Thank you so much," she says. "You have no idea what this means to me." Dean nods. "I'm glad I could make your night." She leaves, floating. She'll tell this story for years, decades. "I met Dean Martin. He was so nice. He put his hand on my shoulder. He made me feel special." Dean watches her go, then turns to greet the next person in line. He wonders, 20 years from now, if this woman gets in trouble, will she think Dean should testify for her? Will she feel betrayed when he doesn't remember her? He hopes not, but he suspects yes. This is the price of kindness from someone famous. It creates the illusion of connection, the illusion of relationship, the illusion that you matter. And when that illusion shatters, when the famous person doesn't remember you, doesn't come to your aid, doesn't treat you like you're special, the betrayal feels real, even though the relationship never was. 5 years after the trial, Dean gets another letter from Joe Colucci in prison. Dean almost doesn't open it, but again curiosity wins. This letter is different, calmer, more reflective. "Dean, it's been 5 years. I've had a lot of time to think about what I did, about the trial, about you. I was angry at you for a long time, felt like you betrayed me. But my cellmate guy named Ray, been in here 15 years, he helped me understand something. He said, 'Joe, Dean Martin doesn't know you. He shook your hand once. That doesn't make you friends, that makes you a fan.' And he's right, I was a fan. I met you backstage, you were nice to me, and I built that up in my head into something it wasn't. I thought we had a connection, but we didn't. You were just being professional, doing your job, being kind to a fan. I see that now, and I'm sorry I expected more. Sorry I put you in that position. Sorry I tried to use you to help me when I didn't deserve help. I did bad things, Dean. The prosecution was right. I hurt people, threatened people, stole from people. I deserved to be here, and you were right not to help me, because you don't help people you don't know, especially when they don't deserve help. I have 15 more years in here. Probably won't get out until I'm old, but I wanted you to know. I don't blame you anymore. I blame myself for confusing kindness with friendship, for thinking a handshake meant something it didn't. Thank you for being kind to me that night in 1973. Even if you don't remember it, it mattered to me. But I understand now that it didn't matter to you, and that's okay. That's how it should be. Take care, Dean. Sputty Joe. Dean reads the letter, feels something heavy lift, This letter doesn't require a response, doesn't expect one. Joe has made peace with what happened, made peace with Dean's role, or lack of role. Dean folds the letter, puts it with the first one. 2 letters, 2 stages of understanding, anger, then acceptance. He wonders how many other people out there feel betrayed by him. How many fans he met once, smiled at once, was kind to once, who now feel like he abandoned them. Probably dozens, maybe hundreds. He can't fix that, can't make them understand, can't explain to everyone who meets him that kindness isn't friendship, that a moment isn't a relationship, that a photo doesn't mean they matter to him. All he can do is keep being kind and hope they eventually understand what Joe understands now. Kindness is free, friendship is earned, and there's a difference. Dean is at a restaurant, Beverly Hills, quiet dinner, alone, reading. A man approaches, mid-40s, nervous. "Mr. Martin, I'm so sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to say thank you." Dean looks up, doesn't recognize him. "Thank you for what?" "For testifying honestly at my uncle's trial." Dean's stomach drops. "Your uncle?" "Joe Colucci. Joseph Colucci. You testified at his trial in 1979. You said you didn't know him, that you couldn't vouch for his character." Dean sets down his fork. "I'm sorry. The man raises his hand. "No, don't apologize. You did the right thing. My uncle, he did bad things. He hurt people. He hurt our family. We were ashamed of him. And when you testified that you didn't know him, that you couldn't help him, it was the first time someone in our family felt relief, because it meant he couldn't pull anyone else down with him. He couldn't use someone else's reputation to cover for his crimes. You were honest, and that mattered." Dean doesn't know what to say. The man continues. "My uncle wrote you a letter from prison a few years ago, apologizing, explaining. Did you get it?" "I did. He's changed. He really has. Prison was hard but necessary. He understands now what he did, who he hurt, and he's grateful you didn't lie for him, because if you had, he wouldn't have learned anything. He'd still think he could charm his way out of consequences. So thank you for being honest, for not letting him use you." The man extends his hand. Dean shakes it. "You're welcome, and thank you for telling me. I've wondered about your uncle. I'm glad he's finding peace." The man nods, leaves. Dean sits there, thinking. All these years, he worried he'd done something wrong, been too harsh, too cold, refusing to help Joe. But Joe's nephew just thanked him for being honest, for not lying. Maybe that's the real kindness. Not the smile backstage, not the hand on the shoulder, not the photo. The real kindness is honesty, even when it's uncomfortable, even when someone expects something different. Joe wanted Dean to lie, to say they were friends, to vouch for his character. Dean refused, not because he was cruel, but because it would have been dishonest. And dishonesty isn't kindness, it's cowardice. Joe spent 5 years angry about that, then 5 years understanding it, then grateful for it. Because Dean's honesty, his refusal to lie, forced Joe to face what he'd done, to accept consequences, to change. That's kindness, real kindness, not the kind that feels good in the moment, but the kind that helps in the long run. Dean finishes his dinner, goes home, takes out both of Joe's letters, reads them again. The first letter, angry, hurt, betrayed. "You made me feel special, then forgot me." The second letter, understanding, apologetic, grateful. "Thank you for being honest, for not lying for me." 2 letters, 10 years apart, the same man, different understandings. Dean opens his desk drawer, pulls out a piece of paper, writes a response. "First time, Joe, got your second letter. Took me a while to respond because I didn't know what to say. But I met your nephew today. He thanked me for being honest at your trial, for not lying for you. That helped me understand something. Kindness isn't always smiles and handshakes. Sometimes kindness is honesty, even when it's hard, even when someone wants something different. You asked me to lie, to say we were friends when we weren't, to vouch for you when I couldn't. I refused, not because I don't care about people, but because lying wouldn't have helped you. It would have only delayed your reckoning. You needed to face what you'd done, accept consequences, change, and you did. Your nephew says you're different now. I'm glad. That's real growth, real change. And it happened because people told you the truth. Hard truth. I was just one person who refused to lie for you, but maybe that mattered. I don't know. Either way, I respect what you've done. Facing your actions, accepting consequences, changing. That takes courage, more courage than I see in most people. I hope the rest of your sentence goes as well as it can, and I hope when you get out, you find the peace you're looking for. You won't find it in power or status, or handshakes with famous people. You'll find it in honesty, with yourself and others. Take care, Minus Dean. He mails it. 2 months later, a response. Dean, thank you. Your letter meant more than you know. You're right. I needed honesty, not kindness. I needed someone to refuse to lie for me, to force me to face what I'd done. I spent my whole life thinking connections mattered, knowing the right people, having the right photos, being able to say, I know Dean Martin. But none of that mattered. Not really. What mattered was who I was when nobody was watching, what I did when I didn't need to impress anyone. And I was terrible. I hurt people, used people, thought I was smart, thought I was connected, but I was just a criminal. And I needed to hear that from a judge, from a jury, and from you. Thank you for not lying, for not letting me pretend we were something we weren't. I've got 9 more years, then I'm out. When I get out, I'm not going to try to reconnect with famous people, or build a network, or take photos with celebrities. I'm just going to be honest with myself, with my family, with the world. That's the only connection that matters, the one with truth. Thanks for teaching me that, even if it took me 10 years to learn it. Menela Verdens, Joe. Dean reads the letter, smiles, puts it with the others. 3 letters now. Anger, understanding, gratitude. The full journey of someone learning that kindness and friendship aren't the same thing. That honesty matters more than niceness. That truth is harder but better than lies. Dean never sees Joe again, never hears from him again after that last letter. But he thinks about him sometimes. Wonders if Joe got out, if he kept his promise to be honest, to live differently. Dean hopes so, because that's what matters. Not the photo, not the handshake, not the moment backstage. What matters is what you do with the truth when someone finally tells it to you. Joe was angry at first, but he listened. He learned. He changed. That's rare. Most people stay angry, stay in denial, blame the person who told them the truth. Joe grew up, eventually. And maybe Dean's refusal, his honesty in that courtroom, was part of that growth. Not the whole thing, but a part. Sometimes kindness is a smile and a handshake. Sometimes kindness is the truth, even when it hurts. Dean did both, the smile in 1973, the truth in 1979. Joe needed both, even if he didn't realize it at the time. 1995. Dean Martin dies. December 25th, Christmas Day. Respiratory failure, 78 years old. The obituaries cover his career, the movies, the music, the Rat Pack, the charm, the legend. In a federal prison visiting room, Joe Colucci, now 63, out on parole after 20 years, reads about Dean's death in the newspaper. He sits there, quiet, thinking about 1973, the handshake, the smile, the photo, thinking about 1979, the testimony, the refusal, the truth, thinking about the letters, the journey from anger to understanding. Joe's daughter is visiting. She sees him reading. Dad, you okay? Joe looks up. Dean Martin died. The singer. Yeah, I met him once, long time ago. Were you friends? Joe thinks about that question, really thinks about it. Then he smiles. Small, sad. No, we weren't friends. But he taught me something important. He taught me the difference between kindness and friendship, between niceness and honesty, between a moment and a relationship. I thought we were friends because he was nice to me once. But we weren't, and when I needed him to lie for me, he told the truth instead. I was angry at him for years, but he was right, and his honesty changed my life more than his kindness ever could have. Joe's daughter doesn't fully understand, but she nods. Joe folds the newspaper. I should send something. Flowers, a card. Do you know his family? No. Then maybe just remember him, the way you remember him. Joe nods. That's enough. That night, Joe writes one more letter. Not to Dean. Dean's gone. but to himself. A note he'll keep. Dean Martin died today. I never knew him. Not really, but he knew something I didn't. He knew that honesty is harder than kindness, that truth is more valuable than niceness, that refusing to lie for someone is sometimes the best thing you can do for them. He refused to lie for me, and it saved my life. Not from prison. I deserved prison, but from never learning, never changing, never understanding that connections don't matter. Truth matters. Thank you, Dean, for the smile in 1973 that meant nothing to you but everything to me, and for the truth in 1979 that hurt me but saved me. Rest in peace. You were kinder than I realized. Mince Dine. He folds the letter, puts it in his wallet, carries it with him, a reminder of a handshake that wasn't friendship, and a truth that was. That's the story of the witness. Not about Dean betraying Joe, about Dean refusing to lie, and Joe learning why that mattered more. Kindness looks like friendship, but it's not. A handshake looks like connection, but it's not. A photo looks like a relationship, but it's not. Truth is harder. Truth hurts. Truth forces you to face what you don't want to face. But truth changes you, if you let it. Joe let it, eventually, and that's the greatest gift Dean Martin ever gave him. Not a smile, not a handshake, not a photo. The truth, even when Joe didn't want to hear it.